A very good afternoon to everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this post-match press conference with Rassie van der Dussen.
Congrats, Rassie. We just spoke the other day about 100 currency in runs. Can you tell us a little bit about this innings? It seemed like you had a lot more intent than maybe some of the other innings, and a lot kind of more urgency to score quicker.
Yeah, thanks for those. I think going in at about, I think it was 68 for 3. Watching from the side, it was looking like it was taking a bit of turn. So I sort of knew that I had to go to my sweeps and reverse sweeps fairly early. So because generally the wicket is quite slow here, so if you let a spinner settle, it's very tough to rotate straight down the ground, and there's just no pace to work with. So I was batting quite slowly, and I thought I could go to my sweeps, and yeah, luckily a few of them came off, and I got off to a bit of a flyer, and from there it was just staying in that plan and sort of trying to put the bowlers under pressure. Yeah, if we let the spinners settle early on, it probably would have been maybe a bit of a different game. So we knew we had to sort of try and put pressure back on them.
How's it, Rassie? Wonderfully well played. Well done. I'd just like to know, is it any nicer playing against an Indian team that is not captained by Virat Kohli?
Thanks, Telford. To be honest, didn't notice much of a difference. Virat was still fielding where he normally fields in ODI cricket, so he was still there, and yeah, I can't say it was noticeable out there. I think I haven't seen too much of KL's captaincy, and he'll obviously bring his own sort of strategy and sort of role to how he goes about it, but yeah, I can't say that it was too noticeable.
Hi, Rassie. Very well played today. I was just wondering, you've obviously shared many good partnerships with Temba Bavuma on the domestic scene, obviously being teammates there. And then obviously for the Proteas, you two have shared wonderful partnerships. Could you just let us in and let us know, like, what's the secret to your partnerships, batting together constantly? Like, do you enjoy it? What's the secret to it? Thanks.
Yeah, I've obviously played with Temba for quite long in my career. Him and I have sort of grown to know each other's game plans and mannerisms and strengths and weaknesses. So, going into today's match, there's certain things I know Temba does when he's playing well, and he does, or I do when I'm playing well, and it's a matter of reminding ourselves on that. It was very hot out there today, and when he got to about 70 or 80, he started to feel the heat a bit, and he constantly reminded me to remind him to keep the intensity up and stay in his game plans and sort of stay disciplined in that. So like I said, we've played together a long time, and I think I always enjoy batting with him. He's running between the wickets, especially, is something that I feed off well, and I think we complement each other quite well. Yeah.
First of all, congratulations on the Player of the Match award for an excellent century. My question for you is that when India played South Africa last time in 2018, the Indian spinners, they had run through the South African batting order, and in your knock, you were very proficient against Yuzvendra Chahal. And what was your thinking behind getting runs consistently against the Indian spinners?
I think the conditions in Paul generally suits the spinners and the slow bowlers. There's generally not a lot of pace in the wicket, so it does suit them. I think our experience as a team in the last year and the way we've upskilled ourselves has really allowed us to have those game plans against especially spin, starting probably from the T20 series in West Indies, where it was slow wickets. Then we went to Sri Lanka, and we obviously knew with the T20 World Cup, spin will play a big role there. So it's been a process of more than a year of upskilling our batters against spin and making sure that's a part we can dominate if we play well on the day. Like you say, in the past, maybe South African batters were known to dominate the seamers and come a bit short against the spinners, and we identified that as a weakness of our batting lineup probably about a year or two ago. And credit to the coaching staff and Mark Boucher and more recently Justin Salmons, the batting coach, for upskilling us and sort of giving us those tools to apply out there in the middle. I think we've come a long way in the way we approach spin, and the way we think about spin, and obviously the skills and then executing it out in the middle. So yeah, it's pleasing to see.
Rassie, well done for your century today. You have made it a habit with the Indian team. I mean, you have scored a couple of 40s in the test matches and chases on very difficult pitches and difficult conditions. And now another century on a better pitch comparatively. But how did you prepare? Because India has been a pretty strong team and they were expected to win here this time, test series and all. How did you prepare for this whole series, tests and ODIs, two different formats?
Yeah, I think we knew going into the test series, obviously the number one team in the world currently, they've got a world-class bowling attack. And we knew how the wickets generally on the Highveld in Centurion and Wanderers plays, and it turned out to play like that in Cape Town as well. We knew we had to be really disciplined in your game plans, but also try and stay positive and put the bowlers under pressure. So we just really honed in on being really tight on that off stump and playing straight down the ground. And generally, South African players are good on the short ball, so we knew if they were coming short against us, we were winning that battle. And then in the ODIs, I think we knew spin was going to be a big factor, especially here at Paul, where it generally suits the slower bowlers. But like I said in my previous answer, I think that's been a process of more than a year in terms of the batting unit and how we approach the spin and how we think about spin and try and put pressure on opposition spinners. And today's pitch, actually, we referred back to when we played Sri Lanka in Sri Lanka, and in this sort of same game plans. So it's just good as a batting unit to have those references, and like I said in my previous answer, have the skills that we've acquired and we've faced head on in the last sort of a year. It's coming together nicely now.
Thank you.
Last two questions, Ken, and then Lloyd, before we move to first in Afrikaans.
Thanks, Hi, Rassie, brilliantly batted. Well done. You often get criticized for being a bit of a slow starter when you're batting, but is it not a case that you're actually playing the situation? I mean, you showed today that you're quite capable of getting off to a fluent runnable start if that's what's required.
Thanks, Ken. I think as far as I'm concerned, you're hitting the nail on the head there. I was as a batter, and especially going in the middle order, I try to read the situation and I play the situation according to how I think, firstly, get us a good score or win the match. Sometimes I appreciate the fact that from the outside it might look like I'm doing something else, but yeah, I mean, my only motivation ever going into bat is to get the team in a good position or to win the match. So there's never any other reference from my point of view. Today, again, like I said earlier, I knew if I went in and allowed their spinners to settle, they were going to get into a good rhythm and it was going to make it really tough for us to bat. So I knew sort of I had to try and sort of reverse that pressure on them through sort of lower risk boundary options. So yeah, I mean, it all ties in the previous two questions as well. I think the skills that we've acquired and that Coach Boucher and Justin has sort of instilled in us, I think the learning is, you need to be able to go to those skills, whether it's your first ball or your 100th ball, just and trust sort of that preparation and that work you've done. And I think today's innings showed that. I think one of my first few balls was a reverse sweep, which I know to go to, but and then a few balls later, I had a sweep for 4, and sort of from there, it just sort of flowed. The whole innings flowed from there. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, thanks.
Lloyd?
How's it, Rassie? Well done today. Just a word, if you can, on that ODI average now, which is heading into quite ridiculous territory. I think this puts you comfortably, kind of into the 70s. How much attention do you pay to that as a player, and what is it about this format that's just clicked with you over your 30 caps up until now?
To be honest with you, I don't pay too much attention to it. I probably you are sometimes aware of it because I show it on TV and whatever. But I think, like I said in my previous answer, for me, every innings, you're starting on zero and you're trying to assess the match situation and what's needed from you as a middle order batter. And I suppose in my ODI career, I've been able to be really clear when I go into bat and to know what was needed from me. So yeah, to answer your question, I don't look at it too much. As for today, I'm glad I could play match-winning knock in the end. I probably wasn't too happy with my performances in the test, and I didn't contribute the way I wanted to there. And yeah, coming into the series, it's good to start on a good note and yeah, I suppose give to the team what they expect of me.
Rassie?
Thank you so much, Lukazi. Baie geluk, Rassie van der Dussen. Ek wil net vir jou sê, het lyk my julle kook behoorlik daar in die Parel, meneer. Rassie, net ter opsomming, hoe som jy jou individuele vertoning, die van Themba Bavuma en die spans vertoning vandag op, en jy het waarskynlik, ek neem aan, 'n goeie fondasie gelê vir Vrydag se wedstryd dan?
Ja, dankie Percy. Ja, ek dink dit was moeilik vroeg in die oggend, ons weer die bal swaai in die oggend. So toe ons eerste kolf, toe weet ons daai eerste 10 beurte gaan dalk moeilik wees. Toe ek inkom op, ek dink 68 vir 3, saam met Themba het ons geweet ons moet net 'n vennootskap aan die gang kry en dis 'n groot momentum veld hierdie, so as jy sodra jy 'n bietjie momentum in jou guns kry, dan raak dit al hoe makliker hoe langer jy kolf. So toe ons daai vennootskap aan die gang kry en ons kry hier by 50, toe dit gevoel asof dit bietjie makliker raak op buite, bietjie makliker om die gapings te slaan en hardloop en lae risiko grensopsies uit te voer. So ja, ek dink Themba het 'n baie goeie beurt gespeel. Hulle het baie goed gebal vir hom toe hy ingaan vroeg. Daar was natuurlik druk, ons het 2 paltjies vinnig verloor. So ja, 'n captain's knock soos wat hulle sal sê in Engels. Ek dink die template van hoe mense 'n groot telling op die bord sit, is een ou moet diep kolf en die ander ouens moet om kolf, en ek dink ons kon dit goed doen vandag.
Thanks very much, everyone. We'll see you in the next couple of days. I'll put out something with one of the players tomorrow.
Thank you. Well done.
Bye-bye.